Well, my hearing first started to go many years ago when I was in my late 30s in the one ear, and it was caused by Ménière's disease. After an operation, which lasted about 18 months without any attacks, the attacks started again. Unfortunately, although I had another operation, it didn't work. And finally, the final operation, which took all my hearing in one ear, actually cured the violent Ménière's attacks. And then for 20 years, and at the age of 60, the hearing in the other ear started to deteriorate. It resorted to not only hearing aids, but a phonic microphone, which I needed if I was in conversation with people in a family room to pass around to each individual person so that I could take part in whatever was going on. The operation itself wasn't a problem. Everything went well. And I virtually came out. I went in on the Monday night, had the operation on the Tuesday, came out on the Wednesday night, and I wasn't in pain. And I'd grown my hair just so that you couldn't actually see where I'd had it done. It looked just normal. The only downside was my face on one side wasn't very pretty, but that didn't last very long. And so I went home. I had support from my family, but on a day-to-day basis, it wasn't too bad until I had the switch on. And went to Hope. My eldest son took me. And when it was switched on, the first voice I heard was his, and it sounded perfectly normal, just the same tones, and it was wonderful. Then about 10 days later, I found that because I was on my own, I wasn't getting any sort of practice at listening and communicating. So I think it's when my son phoned me who lives in Scotland, I think he picked up on this. Well, he didn't actually phone, it was emailing. And he said, "Mum," he says, "I'm not busy at the moment." He says, "Get on the coach or the train and come here." And so I think it was virtually the next day I was packed and I was there. And he met me at the station, that little sports car then, with the engine right behind us. And I got in the car and he was talking to me and I was answering him back. And he suddenly said, "Mum, do you realise what you're doing?" And I said, "No." He says, "We haven't been able to have a conversation in the car for years. You haven't been able to hear with the engine." And I think that was a breakthrough, actually. I always collected my granddaughter from school every day. And one day I was going along and suddenly heard this sort of noise and couldn't find out where it was coming from. And then when I stopped to wait for it to come out of school, I suddenly realised it was the patter of the rain. It was raining and I could hear the rain on the roof of the car. And I'd not been able to hear that before. And when I opened the car, if I'd left an indicator on, I could hear the car beeping, which also I couldn't hear before. Television, I still need to put the words on. Not always, because some people speak more clearly than others. And if there's a background noise, that's dreadful. But they are trying to eliminate some of those now. Things have really improved. I've got a much better quality of life. I do things I really didn't have the confidence to do before. And the cochlear implant was the best thing I've ever had done. After the several assessments at 3 monthly intervals there may have been, each time I went, there was a marked improvement, and it went from about 60% up to 90%, but it went all along the board on all the different tests. The implant really did improve, and it was a best thing, it was a wonderful thing to have done. And I would definitely tell anyone who's thinking about it, the quality of life that it gives you, it's incomparable, it really is. It gives you life back